Okay, welcome everybody. We are back to the Be Revolutionary podcast. I am your host, Andrew Perrie, and my co-host, Emily Berry. We did not plan that, Perrie, but
what? Perrie? That's how you introduced me?
I am rusty. This is my first podcast back since the pandemic.
That was a way better intro that I could have done because I just don't have the broadcasting voice like you do. Okay. So that was very good for not doing this in 4 months.
Let's rewind this.
All right,
and Emily Berry, you introduce the show.
Oh my gosh. I can't introduce the show. That's all you.
That easy.
Okay. Welcome to the Revolutionary Podcast where Andrew Perrie did not tell me the dress code today. So I am wearing a dressy dress because that's what I thought I should do today. And Andrew is dressed down. This is dress down day for Andrew. I didn't get the memo. That's my intro.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That was a great intro. Great intro. And you should be happy to know that I'm sweating in this
Good, I'm glad
ensemble.
You're sweating because you didn't give me the memo. So
see, I've missed this back and forth. I've missed this banter.
I know.
It's been a while.
This is the second time I've seen Andrew in person since COVID hit.
My God,
it's really the second time.
Months.
The first time was last week when we filmed the Revel commercial that should be coming out. Stay tuned. Andrew had a really good performance. He's going to win an Oscar.
Yeah, part of the Academy.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Super excited about that. We've got a few different commercials coming out. And I think that kind of leads into what we want to talk about today. Not about the commercials, of course, but you know, what makes a brokerage thrive? And I think throughout this craziness, if I could call it that, is that, you know, you really see the strong people, the strong entities, the strong businesses in tough times. And I think one thing that Revel has done an amazing job at is, you know, how it fostered its culture from a brick and mortar to having events to, you know, seeing people in person to really thriving in a market where you really had to switch to a completely digital platform.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously, Emily, you had a big part in that process with, you know, taking control of all the Revel ad classes and putting them into a digital format. So maybe you can talk about, you know, what was the hardest thing about kind of transitioning from an in-class segment to, you know, having to run digital classes?
Okay. Well, that's a lot. I think there were a lot of questions he just threw at me. But I think what we wanted to open with was we've been busy, you know, shifting how we do things. Yeah. But right from, I think the first week where COVID hit, we've been saying, okay, what do we need to do? And we got to do it. And we didn't just sit back and wait like some other brokerages did that are still possibly doing. But realtors, you know, we're trained for market shifts. We're trained for all kinds of stuff to happen. I was talking to an agent that's been in the business quite a while, and he compared this to almost like 9/11. When 9/11 hit many years ago, you know, no one knew how it was going to affect everything because it had never happened. Mm-hmm. And I think we've never lived through a pandemic, so nobody knew what to expect. That was the hardest part when it hit, right, Andrew? I mean, I remember calling you. I actually remember having a phone call with you when I was showing a house that day, and I said to you, like, I don't even know if I should be showing this house. I don't know what's happening in the world, and we were all just, you know, really, really scared. And there was that uncertainty. But Revel, we shifted quickly. I was teaching at the time, teaching probably about 2 to 3 classes a week. And we had to go online fast. I remember sitting in my stuff for about 2 or 3 days, just thinking, you know, I was distracted like everybody else. And then waking up one day saying, how can I take this Revel education to the Zoom meetings? I had never done it before. Right. So in a matter of a day, I got on the phone with Ryan. We were on the phone with one of our other mentors, Nick. We were all practicing Zoom, Google Meet, which platform's best. Let's get it online. And I think it was the second week of the state of emergency. We had classes online. So we shifted very quickly. And surprisingly, we had amazing turnouts. Like everybody was showing up because everybody was scared of what was happening. And they really appreciated that we were continuing to train them. And I had to, you know what, dress up, suit up, and be there live for an hour and a half in front of all these new agents who were, you know, honestly, a lot of them looking like terrified. Like, what do we do? Like, we got to, they just showed up.
Right.
And I love them for that. They showed up to learn. They showed up to get distracted from what was going on. And I'm so grateful because like distracted me, like I had something to do other than sit around and be scared myself. So that was the Revel Ed.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is that for veteran realtors, they may have not ever experienced anything like this while they're, going throughout their career, but also especially like so huge for rookie agents that just got started. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's such a tough year for them.
Revel, who's, we're known for our educational programs and, really getting realtors off the ground and prepared to start killing it in their business. And, any other brokerage could have just folded with their education program.
Well, the cool thing is I didn't just take all of the classes I already had and go to Zoom with them. I was saying, okay, what do they need to know now? Okay, we can wait on some of that stuff, but I was putting together new classes. So I shifted quickly. I put together a virtual open house class. I did research, figuring out how to host them properly. I did a whole lead gen in a pandemic. I called it. They were like, what's this all about? They showed up to watch, and I was trying to get them to see, look, there's things we can do right now, because a lot of the realtors are focusing on what we can't do. We can't do open houses. I can't go door to door. I'm great at door to door. I can't do this. I don't even want to be calling people right now. I don't even feel right even calling. But I was trying to get them to shift their mindset and grow their business and work on their business during everything. And it worked out great. Like, we were going to social media. What can we do on our computers and not be out there?
But I think the biggest thing here is that think about this. There's still people buying and selling throughout this global pandemic.
Absolutely.
Right? Especially even at the beginning.
Yep.
And the people that did need to move in the beginning were probably the more serious people that actually needed somewhere to go. So they've already sold their home, or for health reasons, or for whatever, they needed to get out and they needed to go to a better place, I guess. So the whole thing behind that is like, do you want to be with a realtor who may or may not be struggling with how to service their clients, or somebody who's a little bit more prepared? And I think that's what Revel and yourself was trying to do, is say like, look, okay, guys, let's not take our foot off the gas. There's a way to be successful in this business. There's a way to still help people during these times, but we have to do it safely, and we still have to protect our clients from the buying and selling process.
That was the big question from the public, was how are you guys still selling houses? And if I got phone calls during that time or emails, it was like, what's happening? How are you doing this? Are you even working? And that was really important for us to not only offer like additional digital marketing. Like a lot of us went to 3D tours, virtual marketing. We were saying to buyers, have you taken our virtual tour? Before we book an in-person showing, we want to make sure you've taken our virtual tour, right?
Right.
And if they were other out-of-town agents, or sometimes even local agents, didn't realize there was that second link for the 3D tour. So then they were saying, oh no, we haven't. Can you send us the link? So we were sending links to agents, making, and that was eliminating some showings. So we were doing our part. We're doing our part. Right? And I think a lot of the agents watching today know the industry changes. We all know about the liability waivers. And most of the sellers, if they have their houses listed, know that those are getting signed. We're putting sanitizers. We're trying to screen. We're limiting parties. So all of that's going on. But you're right. People still have to buy and sell. And there's so much that's been affected from this, like globally and locally. But real estate is kind of a constant. And it's amazing, because people have been buying and selling throughout this, not for, because they don't take this seriously. It's because they've had a sold sign on their lawn and they have to buy.
Exactly.
And there's people, I sold multiple houses since the pandemic hit, with people not seeing the house.
Yes.
So sight unseen, people were watching our virtual walkthrough tours, and they were submitting an offer conditional on seeing the house that week. And that was just such a, to see that, it was like success, right? Yeah. Like we put all this work in and we eliminated all these showings, and now people are offering like, it was great. It was good. And aside from buyers and sellers, like what is a brokerage doing, or, a director like yourself, what are they doing in order to train their realtors? And you touched on it before. So, right. You have one group of people that are saying, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to show any houses. I don't want to put anybody's life in danger. And although we respect that highly,
if they have clients that need to move, what are they going to do? Just not help their clients?
Yeah.
Right. So you've got one end and then you've got the other end who say, oh, this is a conspiracy or whatever. I don't need to be safe because it's all a hoax or whatever. Right. And so you need to find that line, and you need that education, and you need that training in order for a realtor to properly service their clients. Right. And that's, I think that's what you're touching on. So how can we limit the foot traffic between, in Niagara, a lot of our buyers and sellers are in their senior age, right? So limiting the foot traffic through the house was crucial.
It's crucial right now, and still limiting, because our Niagara numbers have climbed lately. We all have seen a lot of the videos down by the tourist districts, and we're not here to take a side, and we're not. There's all kinds of opinions on this. People from different ends of the spectrum. I've had sellers that are so laid back that are like, oh, you know what, I'm fine with it. Just it doesn't bother me if I get it, I get it. And then I get other people at the other end, like, you know what, my husband is held his health concerns. We see our parents on a regular basis. Nobody is coming in here without a mask. And I think it's really important that we spread the word to the agents to really respect what the seller of that property wants. Right. It's not a debate. It's not up to you to decide, well, I'm going to bring 3 extra people just because they're overreacting. And we've seen some of that. And for the most part, the Niagara agents, we work together, and I think we've worked together really well and respected each other's policies, and we write little remarks on the realtor remarks, and we respect that. But I have seen some cases where, 2 people are signing that they haven't been sick, sending it in, and they're bringing like 5 extra people still, and 3 cars they're pulling up. And then the sellers, a lot are them have these ring apps now. Yeah. So they're calling us saying there's 7 people in my living room. Emily, what is going on? Like, you said that these are in place. So it's very difficult to do this perfectly, but I think we all have to cooperate and spread the word.
And the problem is that not only for one, do we have cameras and mics in so many different houses these days, but just from like a human being standpoint and from a professional standpoint, like how do you show up to a house saying that you've got a couple, a husband and a wife, and you end up bringing the entire family, the grandmother, the cousins, the great uncles, and you don't even let just let the agent know. If you let the agent know, you'd be like, okay, no problem, send in those other forms, as well as please take 2 groups through. I showed one of your listings. Unfortunately, my clients didn't go with that one, but I let you know. I said, hey, Emily, we've got 2 families. I'm going to bring them in separately. Yeah. Right. So it was, if you just have a little bit of respect, I think it goes a long way. Yeah. But before we, get too far off topic, we talked about buyers and sellers through this process. We've talked about how Revel has been helping their realtors throughout this process. What I want to know, and because a lot of realtors don't talk about this. A lot of realtors.
I'm scared. What kind of question are you going to throw at me?
No, a lot of realtors, what they'll do is they'll go on and on about how much they hustle, how much they grind, and how hard working they are. And it's true. We've got a crazy business. You want to make money. You want to serve your clients, especially
hustlers
in this crazy
out there,
market, right? Mm-hmm. But did you take any time off?
Did I take time off?
Yeah, during the pandemic.
Ooh, that's a loaded question. When this hit us, and the kids went off school, I feel like I almost came to a halt with I had listings and I had some business going, but a lot of people just got scared and they were just not doing much at all. And neither was I. Yeah. So there was a lot of just, trying to figure out what to do next, and then experiencing my own fears with it. I have family, I have parents, I have people, loved ones that I was worried about. But it's the uncertainty. It's like I was scared. Yeah. I distracted myself with throwing myself into the Revel education and trying to throw myself at the new agents in order to help them, because they were so excited to get into real estate in 2020. And it was just like, I can't believe this is happening to them. They just worked so hard. So it was like trying to keep them motivated. But I would say, Andrew, I remember calling you, and we're all different, but you were really, really busy throughout the entire thing. I slowed down for about a month and a half. Right. And I was grateful for that, actually, because I really used the time with the family and to, really sort out my own feelings around everything and say
I
like,
think that's so important.
how do I get up every day and be positive for my kids and for my clients and for people calling me? And I had to get my stuff together. So yeah, I think a lot of us went through, maybe you didn't, you were so busy during that, but yes, I took time off is the answer.
No, good.
And I got to know that my children more.
Right.
It was the biggest blessing in 2020 was hanging out more with my girls and cooking. I started a cooking show.
Oh, that's right.
But it didn't last very long.
Oh my God. I remember, you know what? I was so infatuated.
People
with
were tuning in
Instagram
just
stories.
to see
and maybe
how I was cooking.
or maybe like Joe's reaction. Cause you could always flip the camera and he's like sitting there and he's like, yeah, it's good.
It needs ketchup. It needs ketchup. Right?
See, that's amazing.
But you know what? And part of that, I just did the one day because it was a day where I was experiencing a lot of turmoil, a lot of fear. It was bad. I was feeling bad. And I thought, what am I going to do? What else am I going to do?
Yeah.
Okay, today I'm going to try to cook rice. I don't cook. I'm a realtor, but like, hey, there's realtors out there that cook, but I'm a realtor that doesn't cook and everyone knows it. But
it's an inside joke at the brokerage.
I don't cook. But, I took time off, and I think work-life balance is just so important. If there's anything we've learned through this, trying to say like, what can we take away from this year? And it's just what's important, what's really important, right?
Yeah. And, we did chat and I was super busy. But there was like by week 4 or week 5, I was just like kind of tired. And
you were go. You were going like full force.
I doubled down on lead gen. I knew everybody was on their computers. Everybody was on their phones. I doubled down on lead gen. We were making sure that we were only servicing the people that really needed it. But at the same time, by like week 4, week 5, I was tired.
You know why? I'm going to tell everybody why. Because you weren't sleeping.
Yeah.
Because what's at home?
Right.
New baby at home.
Well, actually,
I didn't have to be up all night during a pandemic. I could go to sleep. I might have had a hard time sleeping because of stuff on my mind, but I eventually fell asleep. Yeah. But you might have had to woke up to feed the baby.
Yeah.
So
but you know what?
Busy.
Even before that, by like week 4, week 5, I was so tired from just working that I took a couple of weeks. Maybe not completely off, but I took a couple of weeks to really enjoy.
Yeah, I remember you said you were doing
going swimming. We just bought a house with a pool, so we weren't going swimming.
Yeah,
and then Gabe was pregnant, leading up to May 24th when we had the baby. But you know what? I wish I could say that by the time the pandemic was kind of slowly going into phase 2, I was kind of back to work again.
Yeah.
So like I felt like I missed so much of work that I kind of just stepped back into work mode after the baby was born, which, I'm kind of regretting now, but at the same time, like you kind of got to do what you got to do. Right?
So, and you weren't only working and servicing buyers and sellers, you were also recruiting. So do you want to tell us about the new agents? And
absolutely. Good segue. Emily,
I did a good segue. I'm doing podcast training. That's a joke. There's no podcast training.
So with the recruiting, it's important to note that my efforts in recruiting were, again, pivoted. Mm-hmm. So I was doing active recruiting, ads, phone calls, emails, DMs, and
a lot of Zoom video calls.
A lot of Zoom. Oh my God.
You and I did some recruiting calls together.
Yeah. And so what I did was I slowed down the advertisement aspect of the recruiting process. But what I kind of doubled down on was building relationships on people who I already knew were interested.
Yeah.
And I just kind of reached out and had an honest conversation, and it would lead to about 2 or 3 virtual tours a week. So during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, while other people were, laying off employees, putting memberships or contracts on hold, Revel was actually hiring. We hired almost at least a dozen people, from administration to realtors to other branch managers, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, as well as,
But you know what the really cool thing is? I think as people were at home, not doing their regular activities and they had more time on their hands, is they're more inclined to pick up the phone. And that's when I started getting all of our new agents and our Revel agents to start picking up the phone and calling their relationships, because I said to them, people want to hear from you right now. They normally are like, oh, it's my realtor from last year, probably just checking in us. Oh, I'll call them back later, let it go to voicemail. But now they're saying, oh, it's our realtor calling. They're answering the phone because they're at home and they want to, and they have time to talk. So we were reaching out to people and they were happy to talk to us. So moving into, if new agents were kind of on the fence with maybe leaving their brokerage and exploring other brokerages, I think we were getting noticed for what we were doing, and that we were taking our Revel education right to online immediately. I was doing 3 classes a week during the pandemic. Right now we're down to 2, and we're doing our guest speaker series.
It's a height of summer too. Right?
But you know what? It's still, we're offering it. Any of our agents from any of our branches can join. It's so easy. And they love it because they don't have to, and I love it because I don't have to leave my house. So I teach, make sure like my hair is done. Make sure I put a little lipstick on. I put like a tank top, like a work tank top. And then I've got like the pajama pants on. That's a great way to teach.
Well, it's a comfortable way.
It's a comfortable way to teach.
Smart way to teach.
Get the coffee, and you know what? It's great.
Yeah. So,
but back to your meetings. You were really busy recruiting buyers, sellers, new baby.
Yeah, it was definitely super busy.
Yeah.
And in that time, I recruited for myself. During that time. So we had a lot of changes recently. Yeah, we had 2 new buyers agents that we added to the team. Mm-hmm. Brandy and Amanda, your
photo shoot was really slick, by the way.
Of course.
I tried to invade your photo shoot that day, but
well, I think the important thing with me is that we doubled down so much on the lead generation during the pandemic that we needed help.
Yeah.
And I did reach out to a few people in the office, did my own interviews, encountered some really amazing people that were doing amazing things during the pandemic.
But you called me when you were really busy. And
I was like, hey, Emily Perrie, you want to be on my team?
Andrew, what's the magic word? Starts with an L. Yeah. Leverage, right? And I was like, just find the right people and then focus on what you want to focus on.
Yes.
And then leverage. That's a whole other podcast on teams and leveraging. That's a good point
because you did. But you did a great job at that. I didn't know. Do I need another buyer's agent? Do I need another admin? Mm-hmm. So I called Emily and you walked me through your experience and how it differed from mine, or the realities of potentially going in the wrong direction, which I know very well because I did that last year and I didn't want to make the same mistakes twice. So I confided in Emily and you helped me out, and here we are. Everybody's happy, and the team is growing, and we're doing deals left, right, center. So we're super pumped about that.
Yeah. And lots of new hiring, expansion. So you've been a little bit involved more than me in the expansion, I would say, because just knowing where we're opening up and talking to, you have contacts like all over, not just Niagara, right? So do you want to talk a little bit and tell us about the expansion?
There's a couple of things that we can talk about and a couple of things that we can't.
A couple of things are secret. And I hit my mic.
But we do have a secret. So Revel, we've got our 6 years coming up. 6 years. And we've got, 6 years.
I thought we just celebrated 5 years.
Yeah, we did last year. Remember we got on the plane and went to Toronto.
Oh my gosh, that was it. Okay, go on, continue.
But so we've been open almost 6 years now, and we are at 160, between 160 and 165 agents. Yep. But we also now have 8 offices. 8 offices, which is incredible.
This is even news to me.
It is
8
news.
Offices.
So the 8th
they grow so fast. I got to keep up.
The 8th. Sorry, I just kicked something. You're probably listening to something that I kicked. But anyways, the 8th office we can't speak about right now. But what we can talk about, since the last time that we've been on this show, Grimsby announced that they were opening.
Yeah.
As well as my hometown, Barrie, Ontario, announced that they are opening. They're open now, and it comes down to making that big shift, making that big pivot. Like I said, Revel is known for their culture. They're known for their events. They're known for their family get-togethers and the Revel Ed courses that we do in person. We love it. But with the pandemic, we had to switch and pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
So our brokerage office in Barrie is completely digital.
Yes.
Completely virtual.
Tracy Greenspoon.
Love her. She's so sweet.
Stephanie. Stephanie's doing great.
the foot runners up there,
Yeah.
and they're doing fantastic. I went up to see them a couple of weeks ago with Cam, actually, from Gray Media. We did some videos, did some photos for them. We sat down and talked shop a little bit, and it was interesting to hear, because I know the struggles of a brokerage opening. Like
Yeah.
your traditional brokerage, your brick and mortar, we know the struggles. It is difficult. You got a lot of overhead up top. You're trying to recruit. You're trying to find that middle ground, trying to get your name out there, especially when you're in a new marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
But what is unique to their situation is that it's completely digital.
It's completely
First of all,
digital
I keep saying
while
digital.
keeping the same fundamentals, right?
Right.
Of Revel. And I think that is a challenge and it is a lot of work. And these new head coaches are working overtime, I think, with our general manager, which Emily
Yeah, we
Tropea,
should drop
new
her
general
name on here
manager,
as well.
doing a crazy good job. Like
Amazing.
just she came in at the beginning of the year. She took the reins. She had so many suggestions to go digital before the pandemic even. It's so funny, right? She had us on new communication network. She was like, why are you guys doing it this way? Let's do it this way. It's a lot better. And then the pandemic hit and and then she came out of her, wow, like, okay, what do we do next? Like, here's what we have to do. And so much of our stuff is shared digitally for our agents, right? They have access to so much. And then just so many more hires. Like Cheyenne's
Well,
terrific.
see, that's what I was going to say.
Everybody.
I think Ryan and Nikki and Emily Tropea as well knew that going digital was going to require change.
Yeah.
And it was going to require doubling down on your efforts to be that innovator in the real estate space.
Not laying off and
Not
reducing
laying
your
off and
employees.
not laying down.
While other people they were adding and they added a lot.
So we added a few different corporate roles,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
A marketing director,
Yeah.
a PR director, a general manager, and some front end staff as well.
Yeah, new friend. There's a bunch. I walked in the other day, and I know the girls, all the new staff by texting them, and I know
Right.
their face.
Right.
But I just started going into the office. Of course, Ryan's on me. Oh, we gotta work in the office, and like I know I'm working there. I'm trying, but I'm so comfortable working from home. And then my team members too, because I rent space at Revel. I'm trying to rotate the team members by doing calls and lead gen at the office, and I just don't want all of us in there together. So
course.
I went in and I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to match the faces to who I've talked to, but they're all amazing. And everyone I think fits really nicely and they understand what we're doing and what we're all about. And it's good. Yeah, it's expansion. It's growth.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, like I was talking about, is that you need change. You don't grow without change.
Yeah.
And, although even I was a little put off at some of the changes, but
Yeah.
I knew deep down that that's kind of what we needed to do if we wanted to take this thing to the next level.
I think
Ryan and Nikki understood that.
Mhm.
Top level understood that. Everybody understood that. And when you start seeing how those processes start to kick in and work with Emily Tropea and her role and how she's kind of taking the department, some of the difficulties off of Ryan and Nikki's plate is what I'm trying to say, and putting them into director roles like myself and yourself. It's just so much more efficient, and we can help our realtors become better realtors by just focusing on what I'm good at, what you're good at, and what Cheyenne's good at, which has been a huge help with our in-house marketing and our graphic design and everything like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We could talk about Andrew's, maybe just like a couple predictions, predictions with 2020 with the remainder. There's a lot of predictions going around. I think you and I, Joe, we've all talked to agents from Toronto and the big cities that are saying there's a lot of people that are thinking of moving up north that are, if they were considering Niagara for the last few years, they're 100% sold to get out of the big city. Niagara's market is doing like phenomenal right now.
Yeah.
With people coming down, which is amazing. Another prediction is the real estate brokerages just getting more competitive with what they offer to the agents. I think there's going to be a struggle to offer more digital services. And I think new agents are going to look at brokerages and say, what do you do virtually and digitally? And how are you going to support me in a new kind of industry, right? Because I don't know how long this will be around. For a while, we were all like, when this is over, remember like the first month?
Yeah.
When this is over in the summer or when this is over in 60 days. But I think we've all really accepted that we don't know when this will be over,
I think
right?
the steps that we've taken and the initiatives that we've kind of applied to our everyday business, I don't think they're going to go away.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like my wife would say, I wonder if Walmart's going to stop delivery service. You know what? I bet you they're not. And I think just sometimes you need to go through something like this in order to see things for what they really are. And you start developing new ways of doing things that, you never knew would apply to your particular business or situation before.
I hope the grocery delivery service continues, even if we get vaccinated and this is all like behind us one day.
Yeah.
Because I order my groceries online. It's great.
Much more expensive,
I mean,
though.
A little bit.
$300
little
every
bit
2
more
weeks,
expensive.
and now we're like $300 a week. Maybe it's because we're home more. I don't know.
Okay.
One more milk.
The consumers too, talking about buyers and sellers, is they're getting more educated as well. And I think they're going to have more of a demand from their listing agent, for example, when before they would just go with somebody because they knew them. And I just find now sellers, if they put their house up, they're more like, well, what exactly are you doing to keep us safe? What exactly are you offering? And if it's just like, some basic photos and that's all they're saying, they're feeling a little uneasy because there's a lot more services they could offer.
Good point. And on that point, see, look how good you are at segue.
Oh, segue.
So I was actually, this is a quick little story. I was up against 3 other agents at a home in St. David's. And
like recently?
Yep, very recently. And I was so amazed. I love what I don't want to spoil the ending, but my client, so I ended up winning, but I love what she did. And what she did is she emailed out to a group of realtors and she said, here's what we're looking for. Here's a set of questions. And on that questionnaire was, what are your plans to keep us safe during COVID? How are you going to market our house during COVID?
Wow.
And a few other things like why do you stand out from any other realtor in your area? Blah, blah, blah. But the whole point was while other realtors were taking time off, I was kind of focused on answering emails as quick as I can. And I was also developing ways to market people's homes, just like you guys were, differently and effectively to limit the foot traffic through clients' homes. They ended up choosing me because I responded A, so quickly, and B, I actually had an answer. And the problem is that most of these agents were either not prepared to answer that question, or it wasn't something that they
didn't know how. Yeah, they were put on the spot. Yeah.
Right?
Because they do their business for so many years the exact same way.
Exactly.
And that's tough. And I feel for them. Like same with like me. I mean, I haven't been in the business 30 years or anything, but I've been selling for about 15 years. So I've been doing things, shifting my services. Yes, but I've been pretty much doing the same services for several years now. Okay. So I had to look at what I was doing. And there were services that I took away. Like the free staging, for example, right away when it hit, my staging assistant, she wanted to go on a layoff. She did not want to go in people's houses. Yep. I didn't want the inventory going in the houses. So we stopped the staging service, but we said, okay, now what can we offer them instead? So then we started 3D service. Yeah. I started doing full walkthroughs of the houses during the pandemic.
That was really cool.
Because, and some of them, I'll be honest, I didn't put all of them public, but I had them on me. Yeah. So there was one commercial property I had, and it was like, a rainy day and I looked disheveled and I was like, I'm just going to do this. And I did a walkthrough with 2 different angles, front facing, then facing me.
Yeah. Joe was telling me about that.
And I said, Joe, we're not putting this online, but when there's any inquiries on that property, send these links to the agents. Yeah. And do you know how many buyer agents were like, wow, like we don't even have to go now.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't fit the needs for my client. Wow. We didn't realize there was very little parking there, and it was just huge value. And we're preventing people from meeting, preventing agents and buyers from these meetings. Yeah. We're preventing people from being in a small space, from bringing, you know what I mean? Like it just was good. And there's other things that we started offering too, like digital feature sheets, much stuff.
What about now? Like, what about now? So we're in that kind of weird gray area where the Ontario government is allowing open houses.
So phase 3, are we, sorry, I should have an update today, but
are we there
were entering phase 3 Friday.
Yes.
You and I should have this.
For some reason, I thought it was Tuesday. Well, for the main thing, I don't plan on doing any open houses for a while.
Either do I. And I think I had an agent from our office message me last night and say, how are we what's our procedure for open houses? And they threw me off. I said, well, what do you mean? We're not allowed to do them right now. And here's how I've been teaching you guys live virtual open houses. He said, well, we're allowed to do them in phase 3 and that's coming up any day now. And I think my seller will want an open house. I said, okay, fair enough. But that's a very, good conversation with the client, Andrew, because that's up to the client. And then if the agent doesn't want to do it, then someone else from the,
correct.
But are we stopping people outside the open houses? Are they signing things?
You know what? That's the thing. We need to treat it. We need to treat it as if you've got a really popular house and you're blocking off showings. So what I mean by that is, you can't have 2 different groups inside the house at the same time.
Exactly.
And the problem is some agents that have been complaining about open houses are the same ones that, and I'm not against anybody's strategies, but what's different about holding an open house as normal or holding offers, pricing the house below market value and having 100 showings in 4 days? Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. You know what? It's a really good point because we're not allowed to
against people's
the only difference is those people coming for those appointments have been pre-qualified. They've signed the liability forms.
Good point.
And the open house, a public open house would be just random people getting out of their car, walking up. So, and I understand there shouldn't be more than one party in the house. So if these open houses are going to continue, public again, there's absolutely going to be agents that jump all over it to do them again because it's a lead gen tool for agents as well. They want to be in front of people, but they're not going to be in front of 3 or 4 parties in a house. It's going to be very different. They're going to be very focused on getting a form signed that the people aren't sick and they haven't been around anyone that's been sick, and then collecting the forms and getting signatures and then putting hand sanitizer on them and then giving them a mask. What if the seller wants masks and they didn't bring a mask? Then you're turning them away. It's going to be a lot of work and a lot to think about.
Well, you know what? Dennis and Phyllis from our office.
Yep.
They had a listing around the Lionhead area. I forget the name. Sorry. But I thought it was so professional. When I brought my clients there to show the house, they had the booties. Deb Brown from Royal LePage has this as well. I was showing her house. Booties, gloves, mask, hand sanitizer. Mm-hmm. So, summertime, a lot of people are wearing sandals. Yeah. We're walking through bare feet with the whole COVID thing going on. But, it was just provide that type of service for your sellers. I have more listings in the higher end. So we don't really see a ton of foot traffic. So I show up with my own little kit. Yeah. But I think leaving something at the front door that the sellers can put on the porch while they leave for the showing is a great idea.
There's a lot of really great effort going in to keep the client safe for sure. I personally love the live open houses. I've done probably about six or 7 of them. I go live, I'll get like 20 to 40 people join, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I answer questions. People will tune in, and then it plays on the social feed for several days, and it gets more views, and it continues to help sell the house. So it's a service for the seller. Yep. And I actually got a listing recently in the last month because I offered virtual open houses and the other agents didn't. And they were like, what are you talking about? Well, they're not allowed. No one else mentioned there's a virtual way. What do you mean? I said, well, I can go live at the house and I can do this for you. Okay. And I got the listing over it. Like, and I did it for them. They said, when are you doing that thing you said? I said, oh, that live, I'm doing it. I'm doing it next Tuesday. And the house sold a few days later, which actually looked great. Yeah. But I think it's good. I will probably continue that way. And if a seller asks me to host, we're going to have to really have a very good procedure in place with how we do them.
We talked a lot about COVID. Naturally, it's our first podcast back since dealing with everything, but let's talk about the market a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know Joe likes to do his little market update videos. I love them. I use them for my own clients and be like, hey, wait, sorry, I got to wait for the Perrie Team
load up
video.
The Perrie Team video.
But I think what a lot of people were really shocked about 2020 was for one, we had a very busy January to March, and it was actually up 11% or to almost 12% from the year before. And then we had the pandemic issue, and I think everybody expected a market crash.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, is that what happened?
It's not what happened. I have some of my own theories behind it.
Yep. As long as it's not political conspiracy theory.
I don't talk politics. No.
Yeah.
So in January, before this all hit, I said to my team that we were on pace to have an insane year. I felt like we were heading towards 2017 crazy times, like the end of 16 in the beginning of 17. Wow. That's how I felt in January based on how many offers they were competing against and just analyzing what houses were selling for. Now, that's not always an exciting thing. People, I think the public sometimes thinks, oh, you may just must love when the market's so busy. It's actually quite challenging. So handling multiple offers, I handled 26 offers last week on a property for one of our Revel agents who needed a manager to oversee everything because they had their own offers. 26 offers. I will tell you, it was not fun. No, it's not a fun thing to do. A lot of rules to follow, and it's not great for the buyers. There's 25 people that lost out on that house. So my team members were going to lose out on several houses this year. It was going to be a struggle to get buyers into homes. It was going to be difficult. So I have a theory. I think if COVID didn't hit, this year would have been absolutely insane.
Interesting.
And I think there's a portion of people that stayed home and that are maybe sitting tight, just waiting still. But a whole bunch of them have come to the table and come to the surface. And combined, Andrew, with Niagara, people really wanting to come here now.
Yes.
They did before, but now they want to even more to get out of the closed, tight environments in the big city. So I think it might be a combination. Not an expert, but that's my theory.
So you think that if the coronavirus never came in, we could have potentially seen another 2016, 2017.
I do. Yeah. I'd be curious to get any comments in this video.
Yeah, please let us know.
If you're an agent in Niagara or surrounding areas, what do you think? Do you think that that's correct? I think we were heading for another really crazy year.
You know what? I just, maybe I didn't step outside enough because I wasn't a team leader in the regard that you are. So I don't see a lot of deals like you do, right? So I think I was just so caught up in the busyness between January, March that I didn't think that it was going to explode that much without a coronavirus. But I knew that it was definitely going to be friggin' busy.
It wouldn't have been an exact replica of 16, 17.
I know where you're coming from.
How much we went up in that 2-year period was insane. But I think it was just getting so busy because I do monitor the offers very closely. Like when my team members are offering on houses, I'm hearing about all of it, right? I'm kind of like Joe and I kind of know what's going on all the time. So they're saying, we're offering with somebody, there's 6 offers on that house. There's 10 offers on that house. Mm-hmm. That's what was going on in January. And it still hadn't really picked up.
Okay. So what about now?
What about now?
I think like June, obviously we can talk about June 2020 as one of those moments in time where you have all that yes, there were still busy realtors. There's still a lot of business going on during the pandemic, but how much business was stopped in Toronto about the activity was down about 60%, they were saying. Yeah. And in Niagara, even in some cases around 50%. So you have all this pent up buyer energy that when, coronavirus started slowing down, it just kind of released.
And it's not like the virus. It's not like the virus slowed down though.
No, it didn't.
The restrictions were lifted. The virus is still there, but the restrictions and how people feel about the virus, I think is loosening up a little bit, which I don't know if it should, but that's what's happening. I remember the second month COVID hit, we were operating at 30% capacity. I don't know if that makes sense. Like Joe and I were looking, we were saying normally there's this much activity this month, right? And we're operating with about a 25 to 30% activity. So there was very little sales going through Revel. There was very little sales going through the board. And it was about like 30% operating at, if that makes sense. But like Joe wanted me to mention today, every month since COVID hit, it's gone up significantly. So there's those people that were holding off, Andrew. Yes. And that's one of the predictions is all these people, that were kind of waiting there's always people that want to buy and sell, and interest rates are historically low still. They still are. People want to invest. People want to take their money and invest more than ever. There's investment seminars and investing in their face now, and they never thought of it. Everyone wants to invest. I don't know. I think we are largely at the mercy of the government to some degree. Yep. And I love opinions on that in our comments, because they can throw us a curveball. You know, like they did in April of 2017, they threw us a curveball. They're like, here's some foreign tax for you. Boom. And we were like, whoa. And it just completely halted our market. If CMHC makes more changes, if the banks, I don't know, or if the pandemic gets worse and all of a sudden they shut us down again, I think we're doing well right now. And we're doing our best for our clients right now. And real estate is a constant.
This is what I'm thinking.
What are you thinking?
This is what I'm thinking. So what I'm thinking, and not to get religious, but I'm thinking that there's essentially a mass exodus from people leaving the GTA, because what they can do now is work from home. So if you can work from home, and if you don't need to be physically in your office, I think people would much rather live in a larger house, that they're more comfortable with, and something that offers a little bit more serenity, well, a little less density, a little less congestion. Oh my God, what's that word?
He's using big words today.
I know, I'm trying. But just something that's a little bit more slow pace. And I think that's why a lot of people are coming from Niagara, is because they know that their money is going to go further here. They know that they're going to have a little bit of a bigger house. They can get themselves that bigger house with an office in it. And as well as, you know, that you're not going to have to wait in line at the grocery store an hour just to get your groceries.
Yeah. And we had that GO train really supporting our market and driving people down here. But there is still a portion of people working in Toronto saying, it's still a long commute. I don't know if I'm ready to do the Niagara thing. But now, yes, there's a large portion of people that I think are going to be working from home. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people that will have that option. And they're going to be ready to make that move now. So GO train. You know, more people working from home, combination in low interest rates. We just have to see what happens in phase 3, I think, especially in Niagara, because we are a border town. They have the borders closed right now. You know, we don't know. When are they opening the borders? I don't know what's happening.
I also think that I do, and might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that we are going to see something coming back in the fall. I don't think it's going to do anything to our pricing at all. No. Just like it didn't the first time.
I don't think it will either.
We're going to see the activity down again.
There might be some drop in activity, I think, in the fall, but with even that extreme drop at the beginning of the year, our prices did not go down.
No, that's what
And there was some scare tactics and people talking about that. Oh, listen, now the prices are going down. The prices are going down. And I saw that and I was like, oh, how could you accurately say that without knowing? And you know, they've gone up. We're up 11%. I think that was the stat Joe wanted me to say today. So year over year, right now, up 11%. Still with a huge pandemic, which none of us would have ever imagined would have happened this year. So I agree with you. If our numbers go up, if there's more restrictions, if we go a little backwards, that affects a lot of things. It affects unemployment. It affects, you know, there's so much going on in a bad way, right? Negative. But real estate wise, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. What else does, I want to make sure that I don't miss anything for Joe. Okay. So what else does Joe want to make sure that we get it across on the podcast today?
Oh goodness. There were more sales in June 2020 than June 2019. What? So yes, crazy enough. But again, remember a lot of those people were holding off. So it created a lot of them coming out of the woodworks. We're having a late spring market. So normally our spring market is February. So January, February, March, everyone. That's spring market in real estate terms. It's not spring. For realtors, January, February is when it gets busy. And we didn't have that. So we're having a late spring market right now when all those spring people are coming out. So, and I think it's going to just continue into the fall. So our spring market will now be like summer, fall. That's what he thinks. And less homes coming to this means significantly constrained. There's a big supply issue. Yes, even in not just the lower ranges. The one I listed yesterday, it wasn't a lower range home. It was like mid-range. Just so many showings today on it because there's a lack of supply. And I think that will continue.
I think I was looking at homes now. By the time this podcast comes out, I'm going to be completely wrong. But I was looking at houses in Welland the other day. I just did the most general search and there was only 120 listings. in all of Welland.
There's very
What?
low listings.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
crazy. And you're right. The luxury market is moving. We got an offer on our multi-million-dollar property. Our mid-range at the 885 sold in a day.
A lot
Our
of the
930
Revel luxury
sold
listings
in
are
a
flying
day.
off. Yeah, it's crazy.
The Revel luxury division is just insane right now.
But like a $1.3 million house in Niagara is still like amazing for that Toronto person that's selling a property that's 2.53 million. So they're coming here, and to them, 1.3 is nothing. They're getting a beautiful big house. They're working from home, or they're, whatever. So yeah, even the high end ranges are doing good.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. We talked about a lot today.
Yeah, we basically covered everything I know that I wanted to get out into the podcast world.
The only thing that we didn't talk about, I wanted to talk about Friday Frenzies.
Yes. Okay, good.
Because it's so important at Revel. And the first month COVID hit, we still did our Friday Frenzies.
Okay, so for everybody who's listening now, right now, let's try to explain what Friday Frenzies are. We're going to bring
Makes
it back
us sound kind of nerdy a little bit, but they're fun. Friday Frenzies.
Well,
sounds like a Friends thing.
They might think it's nerdy.
But that's okay to be nerdy.
It helps build that culture. And yeah, please go ahead. What's Friday Frenzy?
Friday Frenzy is team building, fun, no work at all. And, we've been doing this since we opened 6 years ago, apparently. And this is the first time we haven't been able to get together the last Friday of every month for 6 years. So the first month COVID hit, I was really shifting fast to get education online. Nikki and Ryan, I think they were doing a lot of other things too. But one of the things, they were like, how can we do Friday Frenzies online? And we started doing some of my fun trivia nights. Yep. And we do what we can.
Cooking.
We did a cooking show. We all had our laptops out, and Emily Tropea is a big chef extraordinaire. I'm not. So, it was fun. And I think that's really important to keep the morale up in the office, and it's just good. Yeah, that's all. I had Friday Frenzies on my list, and I think we talked about a lot of other things.
Great.
We won't get into the mask debate at all.
No.
Just we don't get into those debates. No. I wear my mask.
I don't think you know where we stand now. But,
yeah.
Okay, guys, that's it. That's a wrap for our very first episode back after the pandemic. My name is Andrew Perrie. My co-host Emily Berry.
You didn't get to see his COVID hair because he has a hat on today. There's his COVID hair.
Wow, that's embarrassing. I feel like Nicolas Cage in Con Air.
That actually, you kind of resemble Nicolas Cage.
Oh God, don't say that.
Wow, with that hair.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much. Tune in next week where we will go over. I don't know yet, but we'll be going over.
It's going to be fun and exciting. Thanks, everyone.